if you're in a situation where you're desperately trying to fix or hold on to certain relationships that are not a match, that's telling you something about your behavior or pattern in relationships in general. Patterns are unconscious, right? And that's kind of the work that we do, show our clients and ourselves, what is no longer useful in our structure of how we show up in the world.
Welcome to the Habit of Possibility podcast, the show about turning obstacles into opportunities. I'm your host, Robbie Spier Miller. Today, Carmela Tunzi, director of Mindflow Hypnosis, and my colleague of many years is joining me. Together, we'll explore why playing it safe keeps you stuck and what you can do instead. Now, before we begin, we have a special announcement. We have been having many requests these days for help with managing stress and navigating all the change happening around us. So we're offering free 1-hour stress management workshops, both in person at our training facility in Burlington, Ontario, Canada, and online via Zoom. Check the link in the show description for more info and to register. Now, let's get started with the show. Hello, everybody. This is Robbie Spier Miller, the host of the Habit of Possibility podcast. And today I'm welcoming Carmela Tunzi, who's been a colleague of mine for many years. She is the director of Mindflow Hypnosis in LA. And she's going to share with us her story about how she was stuck and she managed to move forward and create possibilities for herself. So I'm hoping it inspires people to see where you can do that for yourself too. So welcome, Carmela.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah. So start by telling us where have you had this experience in your life where you were stuck and you didn't really see a way out, or maybe you were stressed or fearful about something, and then you managed to find a new way to look at things?
Great question and great topic. So the idea that comes to my mind with this specific word, being stuck, is way back before I even was involved with the Master Hypnotist Society. I had a situation with property. I was living in a home that I inherited, and long story, but ended up, having to purchase or sort of repurchase with a sibling. And there was a situation with the economy, a little bit with some bad choices that I had made, where I didn't see a window or an opportunity at the time of getting out of my current investment. And so what happened was a series of months and months and months and months of not being able to see different opportunities or a bigger picture that we would kind of speak to. And so I was extremely stuck, and a lot more negative things happened because of my attachment of that particular situation with holding on to the property in the house that I was living in.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of story were you telling yourself that kept you stuck that way?
Well, the unconscious story that was happening it would be similar if you think about any kind of relationship. If you have a relationship, and you as a trainer and teacher might help people with their own personal relationships, where you see that perhaps there's a sort of like a abusive pattern of not wanting to let go of something that perhaps is toxic, or this idea that it's so familiar, the pattern or the relationship is really hard to let go of. So in my particular case, there was a certain amount of security that was attached to holding on to this property. And I simply didn't have the unconscious understanding of what I was doing, or the outcome-oriented tools that I learned later on with, training with Scott and the MHS. The outcome-oriented view of what needed to happen was just not in my observation of the way I was thinking or seeing. So all I could see was, I have to hold on to this. It was, I can't let go. It was so much fear involved. And there just simply was so much stress in trying to hold on that it wasn't even worth half or a quarter of the amount of stress that I was going through at the time. It just did not see impossibilities. And sometimes we find that in relationships. People hold on to these relationships. They feel like there's nothing else outside this relationship. And if it does fall apart, how many times do we hear or see, well, it was meant to be, or something else better, restart something new and fresh? It's just not in your observation while you're going through that kind of situation.
So would you say at the time all you could see was that you had to hold on to it and there was no choice? So you didn't see that you could be okay in other scenarios?
I did not think that there was a choice. Absolutely. There was only having to hold on. It was only reactive, I guess, reactionary. I It felt like being in quicksand almost, like you're just sinking. There's no light at the end of the tunnel, and didn't know what was going to happen. The worst possible case scenario would be that I would, quote unquote, lose the property. And so that's why I kept going and going in a direction that I chose at the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you mentioned that it cost you in terms of a high level of stress.
Insurmountable amount of stress. Insurmountable amount of stress. And ironically, with that same sort of form of attachment, as I was trying to hold on to the sinking ship, it literally was a sinking ship, I had relationships fall out of my life. They didn't understand my focus. I became almost focused and self-aware. And so, there was people that did not understand, and perhaps they weren't the right people that were supportive or empathetic. But I did learn a lot about behavior of people, that flew away. They literally weren't able to sustain this possible new version of me. They were used to only receiving. And so I became another version of myself, which was, rather than giving, only kind of like working on myself or trying to take care of the situation. So it cost a lot, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, relationship, just about everything, and career.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so this is interesting because before this was happening, your relationships were built on you being a giver. Yes.
Yep.
And so you had developed these relationships with people who were expecting that from you. And then when you stopped doing that because you were desperately focused on this other thing, people drifted away because you weren't giving to them anymore.
Yeah. Not everyone, but it's certainly a few. And that was really surprising to me as well. I wasn't expecting that. And so it's like a metaphor for what I was trying to hold on to. Even the property at the time, should not have been the focus of my savior or my safety. I should have just let it go and seen, other possibilities, or had the wisdom to know that I would be safe. But I just did not see that. It wasn't even in my observation of life up until that point. And this is quite a few years ago. But I was adult enough in it and experienced enough in the world to perhaps would have known that, but I simply did not.
Would you say that in a way, the situation with the property was actually just a different version of what you were doing in your relationships? Because if you were trying to give, you weren't trusting that the relationships would be what they'll be.
Definitely.
People will come and go. So we're giving, and it felt like a matter of survival. And then it switched to needing to keep this property as a matter of survival. Yes. But it was really the same pattern.
That's why I brought up the relationship pattern as well. If you're in a situation where you're desperately trying to fix or hold on to certain relationships that are not a match, that's telling you something about your behavior pattern and in relationships in general. Why would somebody hold on to a relationship that wasn't giving back to them? In this case, the house was no longer a financial situation where it would have been beneficial. And yet I saw it as the only lifeboat that I could have. And it was really a sinking ship at that point. So yes, it is a metaphor for how people choose to behave. Patterns are unconscious, right? And that's kind of the work that we do, is to disclose them and call them out and show our clients and ourselves, what is no longer useful in our structure of how we show up in the world.
Yeah. And as soon as we're in fear, our awareness narrows.
Arrows.
And so, in both of these scenarios, with being the people pleaser and then the property, you were in fear. And so you couldn't really see or
No.
trust other possibilities because of it.
Yeah. Yep. There's just definitely tunnel vision. Being in fight flight response can really, we know this with the brain and the body. It discounts what's happening around us. And that's why I was so surprised with a few of those relationships that kind of fell apart, and was not expecting that at all to happen. And I ended up having to let go of the house anyway, and still landed on my feet. And it brought so many other opportunities because I didn't have that burden on me. I probably would have made a lot more money if I'd bailed sooner. And so that was another lesson learned. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, great. And I bet that most people have some situation in their life where they can relate to this. I certainly do.
Yes.
Right? Like there's this concept of sunk cost, where once you've already spent money on something or time or effort or invested in a relationship, our tendency is to want to keep investing or keep throwing money at things, or hold on to what we have put resources into.
Yes.
So we'll interpret the world in a way that will make us see how important that is, or justify doing that, even if it's
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. It's absolutely true. Even within myself, there's certain situations where that pattern keeps showing up. Like, you just absolutely have spent so much time and investment in this one project, and you keep drilling down rather than stepping back and kind of seeing the overview and seeing where you can actually direct your focus. This could be in marketing, perhaps, where, we as business owners are testing. And I know I had quite a bit of fun with Google, and just wanted that to work, and just wanted it to work. And it did for a while. And then you just have to back up and, see where everything else or something else is actually becoming more lucrative, or it flows better. So the best thing to do is, if it's not happening in a direction, and you don't have to necessarily, give up on it, but just really back up, really see a different visual of what's happening, back up and see the bigger picture, and see where the other things are happening. If you're, I don't know, dating online, why do you keep using one website? Back up and see where you might go to a coffee shop and meet different people. So just not keep banging that same situation. It just really doesn't make any sense. And become outcome oriented instead of what is happening right now.
Yeah. I think I know for me in my life, if I get too attached, and I think it has something to do with me. If I get too attached to the situation that way, I definitely lose perspective. So building the skill of being able to stand back and have a clear-eyed view and see the situation as separate from you as a person, or knowing you'll be okay no matter what. Like one of the things we teach in hypnosis is that if you only have one option or two options, then usually that's going to end up being a problem, right? You'll get stuck in what we call top dog, underdog thinking.
Yes.
So you're saying there's a part of me that wants this, and there's a part of me that wants that. And what helps is to see more options. So we're looking for at least 3 creative options or more. More is always better. And the more we open to that and fantasize our way through how each option could be just fine. It might not be our first choice, but that we would be just fine, and that we don't need it to be a certain way is very, very helpful. So I think when we're going through emotional things, like crises in our lives, changes that are happening that are out of our control, we tend to look for ways to get control and to grab onto certain things to have that. So
absolutely. Absolutely. It was a very extremely valuable lesson. Um, of course, with Scott, our mentor's help, I was able to kind of back up and really just back up. And this wasn't an overnight process because the underlying patterns are subconscious. So whether it be that you let go of the actual physical property in my case, or noticing where this can show up in different areas, it does take a little bit of practice. So, and we're applying real techniques like hypnosis and neurolinguistics to the change. So it's not about analyzing what you did. That doesn't really create the change. The lasting change that you're looking for is in future oriented outcomes. This is a new concept to people that are just dealing with problems. And this can be in health related. You can have the most severe experience showing up in your life health wise and either be reactionary and, just, feeling sorry for yourself, or just being excited about what direction am I going with this? How am I going to feel great each and every day? That's a really important goal. Like, how am I going to feel great, tomorrow? Instead of saying, oh, this happened to me, woe is me.
Yeah. Yeah. I call this whole thing the monster in the closet. And I'll give you an example. I have an eye condition that hopefully will never be a problem, but I could go blind from it. It could happen spontaneously because of age, or it could be like if I had a head injury. And so I've known about this since I was like 25. And I've actually had clients who have the same condition, and they've come in freaking out about it because you can see the symptoms. Like there are these things called floaters. A lot of people have them.
Yes.
If you have them, it doesn't mean you have my condition. So most people have floaters. I happen to have a lot of them, and I have an underlying condition that makes it particularly risky. And so I've had clients come in who are freaking out about this, my exact situation, and they're young and having trouble really enjoying their life because everything they do, they're worried, going, oh my God, am I going to go blind? And so what I've done is I've fantasized my way through some alternative futures for myself so that if it does happen, I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, I have a picture of what I could create, like a viable thing that could be true, and it could be okay. And maybe there would be some benefits I don't even realize. And then I have other futures that I've also imagined. And so it helps to have those options in mind, because otherwise people will ignore it and they'll pretend it doesn't exist.
Right.
May behave in ways that could make it worse. Right.
Yes.
For example, I can't, do something like kickboxing or, put myself in, or horseback riding, because if I fell off the horse, I could have had head injury, right? So there are certain activities that are probably not a good idea for me to do. And if I was totally not wanting to admit this, I might choose to do those things, which would be worse, right?
Yeah.
Or I could go like, oh my God, what if this happens, and plan my whole life around going blind, which probably it will never happen. So it's really just being at peace with like, yes, it might be like this, and it might be like that, and it might be like that, and kind of looking at all of that and making it all okay.
Love that. 3 creative options or more as outcomes. And we know that the nervous system will respond, the subconscious will respond to the picture and the pictures in our mind. So if you're, fantasizing about wellness or fun opportunities, then you're actually going to feel great, even when facing a possible, health challenge. So it is an awesome way to be,
Yeah. I have this picture of myself living in like a downtown type of area where I could walk everywhere with my seeing eye dog, and living in a condo with no stairs. And I have a cousin who also has an eye condition. So she and I have joked that if we ever both have this problem, we can hang out together. And hopefully that technology that you can use to see, like they're developing this technology that can help blind people see. So I'm imagining by that time, hopefully it'll work well enough. And right. So I've got this whole, like, I can picture the whole reality, right?
Right.
I'm not a dog person, but in this situation, I would totally have a dog.
Yeah. You almost look excited about not being able to see again, Robbie.
Yeah, well, because I
Yeah,
also imagine, hey, there might be some benefits, right?
exactly.
I don't even know what life would be like that way. And,
Yeah,
of course, I don't wish it and I'm not planning
yeah.
for it, but usually there are hidden benefits to the things that happen in our
Yes. 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 And it becomes quite a surprise as those things show up. And they do.
yeah.
They do.
And so I think people really hurt themselves when they keep the monster in the closet because they know the monster is there, right? And they're going, oh my God, I hope the monster doesn't come out of the closet. And they're
Right.
doing everything they can to avoid it. But it's not, they're not actually building what they want. They're just fixated on this monster. They're obsessed with that. So we're really helping people stand back from that and have
Mhm.
perspective and choices.
And feel better while they're going through even, things happening in the present. They actually
Right.
feel better if they're
Yeah.
looking future, and it changes. It really works. Your body will change and it does adjust, and you won't be in that fight response, but a really calm or centered, more good feeling place.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a sweet spot for this because we want to be able to see all the possible things that could happen and
Mhm.
still focus on our preferred things, right? But be open to the whole range of options and admit them, right? Be like
Yes.
okay with them. Like everything under the sun has to be okay. We need to trust that we'll adapt to whatever happens and appreciate whatever gifts there are from it.
Yes. Yes, have being flexible within every situation, being prepared for what comes. It's almost like martial arts, right? So being trained in martial arts, and I'm definitely not, but when I think of that, I have visual, when you were describing that, I had a visual picture and image in my mind of the most flexible people that I know, and how they're kind of like always moving in space, like even physically, they're not just rigid and like the bush in a storm that becomes flexible even within the storm, where we have these oak trees that are just topple over, and you don't want to be that too stiff, and just be flexible to what's coming to you and at us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm curious, Carmela, what gifts do you see now that maybe you didn't see when you were going through this issue with the property? What gifts do you see you have in your life that you wouldn't have had if you'd kept the property?
Well, the actual most tangible thing that happened, um, with my personal story, was that I was able to establish a business, and several after that. And I jumped into renting an office space. I didn't have that at the time. I was at the same time transitioning from a former career, and just that completely changed my world, as you can imagine. So it was quite a jump from what I thought that I would be able to do, and the amount of skills and things that I've learned are countless. Everything from running a practice to helping clients change, you know, their life, literally.
Yeah,
Learn
I
how to
know.
literally,
Yeah.
learning how to market. I didn't even know what the word marketing meant
Mm.
in that phase of my life. I literally would, sometimes this word would pop up in my mind, and I just didn't understand the word. I was like, what the heck is marketing? And so, boy, did I ask that question so many times, and what did I learn? And to be able to do that, is giving me such a sense of freedom. And so, going from the most secure, um, minded, needing security person, and I believe that the underlying freedom part of me was always there, but it got buried. So to be able to have that freedom, of choices, and being independent, and having then the next level of skill of becoming a trainer, and being able to share and have colleagues such as yourself internationally, um, so many benefits I can't even you know begin to describe. And underneath all of those, all the layers of things that we keep learning. I'm still growing and learning,
Mm.
and the opportunities that have come from that.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. So it sounds like your life is more interesting and there are more good challenges and adventures
Yes,
and choices that
definitely.
maybe before you used to believe things were the way they were, and now you have more of a sense of agency over your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't believe at the time that there was a way out, and
Mhm.
there was just too much fear. And had I had any kind of understanding of opportunities or how to structure, even how to market myself, I would have made different choices that might have, created that certain situation to go differently. Um, but I believe that things happen for a reason, and that was just part of my path and what I needed to learn at the time with where I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, it's probably great that it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd still be in that house and running around in the same circle
Pretty
over
much.
and
Pretty much.
over and
Yeah. Pretty
over.
much. Yeah. And the idea of not having change is, not a good place.
Yeah,
Stifling, as a matter of fact. No, we
yeah,
always want to change and grow and learn. And I think where we learn is where there's um, the most pain, or when things happen and go easily our way, we're not really growing and stretching and learning. Let's put it that way.
yeah. And
That's
not
the
to say it's nice when things go well, right?
sure.
So we want to
Not
appreciate
that we
it,
don't
but
want it to.
we want to be honest with ourselves that we don't really know what our real skills are or what we're capable of when things are easy. It's when there are challenges that we grow or we show ourselves what we can do.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Is there anything else you want to share with people on this theme?
Um, I can't think of anything other than I hope everyone watching realizes the power of what it is that we do, and how this helps just about anything within the scope of our practice, to create, change and opportunity and freedom and joy. And even if it's not so fun while you're going through it, it always ends up to be, a really fun experience, to just to be able to see how much you can stretch and and
Mhm.
just have fun.
Yeah. So I think one of the really important takeaways from this is to for people to agree to visualize some creative options
Mhm.
and visualize situations that maybe wouldn't be what you would choose or different than what you had planned, but you can see them and make them like work, that there could be benefits or it could be okay, or you can adjust and show yourself you can handle it or whatever it is, or maybe there's some mysteries in your future that you don't even know yet, but
Yeah.
trusting that in your
Yes.
future.
Not
So,
being too attached to an outcome that you think that is the only way, just to be open.
yeah, yes. So, in NLP, there's some techniques where we ask questions like if somebody says, like for you with the property, you were going, well, I can't sell this property. And so the question we would ask from NLP is, what would happen if you did sell the property? And
Mhm.
to be willing to explore that. And I bet at the time you just weren't willing to go there. You were just going like, no, I can't sell this property.
If
Just
they would have asked me at the time, I would say I would just be in so much fear. What would happen if I sold it? I don't know. And not knowing is the fear, right? The fear of the unknown is the most classic fear that people have.
right. So, one thing that you discovered through doing this was to cultivate your sense of faith in the future, that you don't need to know all the answers and you can feel good anyway and safe,
Yeah. Yeah.
confident. And before this happened, you didn't know you could do that.
No, I
You,
did not.
you needed to control what happened or it needed to follow your rules
Yeah.
to be okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very unusual that the world complies with that. Right? Sometimes the world complies enough that we think we're capable of controlling everything. And then
Right.
usually something happens that's an overwhelming thing that we realize we can't control.
It's almost, Robbie, like you have to be comfortable with the delusion of that everything's going to be okay, kind of based on it usually is.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
It's true. And even when things happen that we wouldn't choose, or, there are things that happen that are not good, but
yeah,
somehow we don't have a choice when those things happen. So somehow
right,
we adapt
right.
and trusting that whatever is happening is really the things we can't control are
Mhm.
just the things that were meant to happen and to be accepting of that instead of trying to control or fight it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know for me, that's been an important lesson.
yeah,
And it makes life a lot easier. But I sure grew up in a way where there was a lot of belief about things had to be a certain way, right? And
right.
a lot of need to control.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I'm very much sure that the people want the structure of what they believe is right or wrong, where the question should be, is it useful or unuseful? And
Mhm.
that is what I've taken from NLP and hypnosis for sure.
Yeah.
Not common in a lot of people's vocabulary.
Yes. And we need to look at that regardless of what you were taught growing up or what your culture believes is
Exactly.
matters or what your dreams were that you were really attached to or right that
Yes.
we need to make that okay no matter what.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well go ahead and share with people how they can get in touch with you, Carmela.
Oh, thank you. I'm in Los Angeles, but see people virtually as well. But the business is Mindflow Hypnosis. That's the main website as well. And you can certainly, look at that or even call me or text me at 323-573-7707. I'm always happy to, have a conversation or a consultation. We definitely do this virtually as well, like I mentioned, or we have two locations in Los Angeles proper. So happy to meet anybody that's on the West Coast always.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Robbie. Nice chatting with you always.
Likewise. Join us for our free 1-hour stress management workshops. Go to the link in the show description to register. And if you're interested in connecting with me and learning about personal and business coaching, consulting, and training opportunities, go to mindlinkconsulting.com or hypnosistrainingcanada.com and schedule your free consultation. Let us know what you think of the show. Reach out to us at mindlinkconsulting.com. And if you like the show, please rate and review us so other people can find us too. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Robbie Spier Miller, the host of the Habit of Possibility podcast. Tune in next time to learn more about how you can turn obstacles into opportunities and make the most of your life and career.